Yes. Now I'm getting nervous. And you. No, I was saying that my laptop was stolen on arrival, so I have to improvise a little bit. So I'm going to share just some thoughts about what I think soulful leadership is about. This is partly based on another presentation that I made, so I may switch between slides because I managed to get my hands on on this presentation. Wait. Oh, how does it work? It doesn't work. Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah. So I want to refer to. This got me thinking about leadership in general. This is a small village in Holland, Torren, in the south of Holland. And it's a very interesting village because it's a white village. Everything is white. All the houses are white. And it was like a small mini-state where 800 years women reigned. Can you imagine? And this was in a very turbulent period. So when I discovered this, I really started to think about leadership with a soul, but also feminine leadership, because these women managed 800 years. So this is where my thoughts are based on. Well, I think if you speak about leadership, I would say that we have a crisis in leadership. I think that many people feel that the leaders we have, they're not our legitimate leaders. Of course, we have systems in place where we get the opportunity to vote, but it's not only a matter of voting, it's also the fact that they have to walk the talk. And somehow we feel in many countries in the world that they are not representing us. And if you look also at leadership in general, this is a male-dominated world. It's men that have by far the majority of the roles as leaders. So I think soulful leadership has to do with also tapping into this feminine power and unleashing that, and creating more opportunities for this feminine power to become visible in the way we lead. So this is a bit, maybe, I don't like to be negative because I'm a very positive person, but just to qualify, because it's very easy to say that there's a crisis in leadership. But if you try to define it, I would say it's all based on competition, it's based on conquering the world, conquering territory, it's about power, it's about being the best, being the first, being the leader of the pack. And again, of course, this is kind of also stereotyping it, but it's to clarify that we need to initiate changes in this field and create another narrative also. So what we need is a revolution. I don't think incremental changes will do the trick. And this is why I think that movement like Women Economic Forum is fantastic, because they are leading the way in this revolution and really actually practicing it also. They're not just saying it, but they are walking the talk. Well, it of course all revolves around, in my view, leader. I looked up a definition of what soulful leadership is about. So, soulful leadership offers kind of a transformational narrative. It is purposeful leadership journeys guided by an inner awakening that faithfully and diligently considers the full range of sacrifices in leadership decisions So the ongoing prosperity and well-being of all involved, people, planet, and organizations, can be increased. So this is not about your own private goals. This is about something larger than yourself. And for me, this all revolves around peace. Why? We spend $13 trillion a year on war. Can you imagine how much that is? And we recently had a meeting in Davos. I wasn't there because I'm not important enough. But there the chairwoman of the European Union, she ended the Davos meeting with a speech saying, yes, we are really going to do something very transformational. We are going to spend 1 trillion on sustainability to do something really about climate change. And I thought, we spent 13 trillion on war, and you're just going to spend 1 trillion on sustainability. So somehow I think she missed the point. For me, really, all our efforts should be geared on working on peace. All our efforts. This is kind of the key force that we have to set in motion. So if you look at, this narrative also, and this is really for me also important, when we talk about soulful leadership, and which has to do with feminine leadership, it's not about men and women, because we really need each other. Because I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he's a man, and I was telling him, about my insights about leadership, that I was thinking about it. And then he said to me, but you women raised us. And I thought, he's right. It is us women who raised all these men. So it's too easy to say that that they made the mess and we get to fix it. Because somehow in raising all these men, because they all have mothers, we also made mistakes. We cannot deny that. So when we say that we really want change, we have to do that together. We have to look also at ourselves. And I think involve men much more in this movement, because I think, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I think men also feel kind of, feel that they are the ones that are blamed. I'm gonna go quickly then. So it's not about men and women. I refer to leadership. For me, this is soulful leadership. I refer to Mandela. He says, leading you do from the back. So this is about doing something which is bigger than your own individual goal. A very important lesson. I like to speak about feminine intelligence, because feminine intelligence is intelligence with a soul, and it revolves around these pillars: compassion, deep listening, intuition, inclusivity, and regeneration. So what does that mean? So revolutionizing soulful leadership is, for me, revolutionizing feminine leadership. And what does this mean? It's leaders with a strong sense of self-esteem and self-worth. Also knowing how to affirm your boundaries, people that are overcomers. They are able to turn things around. They're passionate about challenges. They are inspirational and guide with intuition, open to new perspectives and optimistic. Good in engaging and motivating audiences about results, and for support also. And they have the will and the skill and the determination to make positive change. And above all, they have empathy and compassion at the heart of how they lead. So, feminine leadership Leadership with a Soul is an invitation to women and men, in my view, to act in the interest of peace, a better world, humanity, and above all, to restore our relation with Mother Earth. She is our provider and caretaker, and we are just guests that in the course of our lives have to safeguard that future generations will also have a safe and healthy environment and home for all creatures on Earth. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Let me just... So I will invite the next speaker. One of you? Yeah, I'm just gonna go last.
Right, so thank you very much for joining us. So this is about soulful leadership, right? So basically, what do we understand by the word? The root word is soul. What is soul? Soul is at the heart. So basically, what soulful leadership would mean is not operating from the brain that we typically do, but is operating from the heart. And this has been confirmed through the results pyramid. How many of you are familiar with the results pyramid? So results pyramid has got 4 levels. What you see on the topmost is called the results. The next level is action, which means that all the results that you and I see in our lives, in our businesses and all that, actually comes from the action, be it our action or the action of the people that works for us. Correct? Now, what we do not see, just like the tip of iceberg, is actually the actions, whether it's ours or the people that works for us, actually stems from belief. And it is their beliefs that drives their action, and their action brings results. But the biggest and the most important thing is to understand what drives the belief. Experiences. So if you can imagine a pyramid, experiences creates belief, belief creates actions, action creates results. Therefore now, as leaders and business owners and corporate leaders, what we need to do is to recognize in the event that we are looking to drive a culture change, transformation, business improvement, we should not be focusing only on the action, because that is just the tip of the iceberg. What we need to do is to actually change at the core, which is the experiences. And therefore now, in order to change and create positive, engaging, empowering experiences for people so that the results will eventually change, is to now follow a formula called HEART. H-E-A-R-T. So HEART, H stands for heart itself, right? And heart is to now operate and really understand people and help people focus on the 2 S, which is strengths and solutions. Very often than not, we as leaders will always focus on the 99 things that is going wrong and not the one thing that is going right, or vice versa. We have a choice to make as leaders. When we are dealing with our staffs, our team members, even ourselves, sometimes we are so hard on ourselves that one thing that didn't go well when we were organizing a conference or an event, we really put ourselves down so much, not recognizing the mere fact that we even managed to pull off an event, right? So the choice of looking at it, like I've been mentioning since yesterday and today, is always from the lens of being appreciative and not deficit. By virtue of doing that, you will start recognizing that you are helping people discover their strengths and leveraging on their strengths to move people forward. When you nurture people and grow people on their strengths, people will be more comfortable and people will be able to shine better. And as owners of businesses or even as leaders, what we want is to nurture people's life so that they are able to give their best to the organization. E is empathy. I think this element of empathy is totally missing from the world right now. We don't seem to empathize on people. We always want to look at things from only our perspective. So imagine if I were to draw a number 6 over here. Number 6 that looks for me as number 6 is actually a number 9 for you. And what does that tell you? Can we fight that if any one of us is actually right or wrong? No. It's about truly understanding by putting ourselves in the shoe of the other person and truly empathizing. And empathy is a very, very strong and an important skill that we as leaders must have. All right? And then you go down to A. A is appreciation. I'm not sure in the Western culture, or rather I'm sure in the Western culture that appreciation and acknowledgement is a lot more easier as compared to the Asian culture. In the Asian culture, we do not say, well done, amazing, good job done, I'm so proud of you. You know, words like that hardly comes out. But in countries like Australia, US, UK, where I've traveled to and trained in organizations, I find that the culture is a bit more appreciative, where they're able to say these words very naturally, right? So I think that's something that we can learn from. And that's where the A comes in, which is to appreciate. Because remember, every compliment that you give will yield a dividend. Every compliment that we give can yield a dividend. Finally is the R and the T. R is respect. Remember that none of us are going to be leaders for the rest of our lives. Because we came to this world with nothing, we'll go back with nothing. It is in that journey that we have been given a chance and we've been blessed to hold leadership roles. And therefore, when we are holding the leadership roles, let us respect, be it a janitor, be it a driver, or be it fellow CEOs of corporations that we are dealing with, right? So respect is the next R. And finally is the T, which is trust. Trust is the most fundamental thing that is currently missing in a lot of leadership role. Leaders have difficulty trusting their people. Now you have two choices, all right? Choice number 1 is building the trust, meaning slowly allow people to build your trust. I operate from the opposite angle, just like how I commonly do in a lot of things in my life. I do not believe in building the trust. When I meet you for the first time, my subconscious tells me, this person is a good soul. I'm not talking about the person, I'm talking about the soul. This person is a good soul, this person means well, this person has got good intention, and therefore immediately I confer 100% trust on whoever I meet until they prove otherwise. I find that makes it a lot more easier to manage, because having to build the trust over a period of time takes ages. Be it in relationship with a partner, be it in a relationship with business, be it relationship with work, with subordinates. Anywhere you notice, people tend to say, oh, building relationship. In fact, some of my trainers in Malaysia are trying to now design courses that will now teach the corporate leaders how to build relationship. And I've gone around and told them, you shouldn't be teaching how to build relationship. You should be now advocating how, when you acknowledge people, that you are a leader, and as a leader, you're supposed to operate from the heart, and therefore now you should confer trust immediately unless somebody breaks the trust. So some people are not very comfortable taking that kind of risk, because how can I trust you when the first time I meet you, right? I do a little bit of the opposite, and that has made my life a lot more simple. Until this person breaks my trust, then God bless you. I will not be talking to you or wasting my time anymore. But till then, life goes on. It's so perfect. Everybody is doing work together, and there's lots of unity and love. Now, the point is to operate from the heart, as the acronym I mentioned just now. And that means it comes from the stem or the root of loving all and serving all. Because remembering, we are all human beings. We all have come together on this journey of life, and when we leave nothing except our love and our legacy behind. And finally, what I really think soulful leadership can be applicable and very easily implemented is to recognize what Peter Drucker has said. Peter Drucker is the world's leadership management guru. And Peter Drucker says the role of a leader is to create an alignment of strengths, making weaknesses irrelevant. Very often than not, we try to spend time closing gap. By the time we finish closing the gaps of team members and even ourselves, God will be calling us, come, I want to see you. All right? And that's time to kick the bucket. But instead of now finding fault and, closing gaps, let's just focus on strengths. And I thought that is part of spiritual leadership. But as I now read the management books, it says the same thing. All right? Which is focus on the strengths, create an alignment so that everybody can move forward together. So as a closing point, remember, always it's about the intentions. What is our intention? And I'd like to leave you with this another last formula for WEF Slovenia 2020. It will be intentions plus mechanism gives you results. So how many percent do you think is intentions plus how many percent mechanism can give you 100% results? 80-20, okay, good. Doctor?
Everything must be implemented. So
Okay. 50-50, okay.
or 100.
See, so that's be the best formula that I would really love. However, I still remember my primary school teacher told me 100 plus 100 is not 100. Yes. Right? So if I could give you the answer, it's 100% intentions plus 0% mechanism can still give you 100% results. Why we struggle in many at times is because we are so bogged down with the mechanism. Where are we going to get the funding? Who is going to do? What we need to do? Oh my God. All that mechanisms are being on the focus, and that's why we are struggling. As long as our intentions are pure and our course is noble, right, the mechanisms will fall in place. I'm sure Dr. Harbin has experienced this building, the All Ladies League across the world. When you started with that intention of growing the community, did you know that all the resources are going to come? No. The purity of your intentions and the intention, correct, that started and it magnified. So in conclusion, let's operate from the heart and let's try our best to have pure thoughts, sincere intentions of making a positive difference in everybody's life. Thank you.
Because I realized I didn't come to the parallel session since yesterday. So they told me this is the moon room and that is the sun room. So I'm now going to the sun room to balance my leadership.
Doctor, can you get a picture?
Of course, absolutely. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Of course, no problem. We'll have a photo session. No worries. Okay, everyone look at me. 1, 2. Yeah, anyone.
We need you here.
Just 1 second.
Beautiful group of women. Dr. Shakardiya, he wants to stay with us. Okay.
I'll give him 2 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Interesting. The best ever session I had in my life. Okay, what's the topic? Soulful leadership. Soulful leadership. Rumi once said, there is a window that opens from one mind to the other. However, if we did not build the wall, then there was no requirement of windows or latches. So let me break the wall that is between us, and let me just come here. That will be easier for us. Doesn't work. Perfect. And you said that I need to use the mic because it's being recorded. I will stay here. I will stay here. That's better. How many of you have attended leadership sessions where you spent quite a lot of money, maybe yours or maybe your organization's, and at the end of it, you realized you did not get what you were actually expecting, or there was something missing. There is some element which still needs to be added. Have you attended any leadership session like that? So many of them. So what is it that is missing? A very common phrase that we use is there are two most important days in the life of a person. One is when you come on this earth, and the second, the day you realize your purpose. Sounds great. And I have a really funny story to share about this. At the age of 24, I was getting interviewed for the position of head of human resources for a multinational organization. And been a great student so far, intellectual, helping people, being the best in the class, being the class representative, getting all the awards, being a gold medalist, acing all the interviews, everything. I got whatever I wanted. And this interview, the CEO asked me one question: what is your purpose in life? Now, at the age of 24, somebody asking me what is the purpose in my life did not actually make any sense to me. I thought this man is crazy, and he does not know what he's doing. Why the hell is he bothered about my purpose? Because my job is to be the head of human resources, and I can actually do what I'm supposed to do because I have been doing a great job so far. And that was the first time I faced rejection in life. That was the first interview I faced rejection, and yes, the last so far. And that's the day that I started looking for my purpose. Okay, that man is crazy that he's talking about purpose, but there must be something. So I started looking for my purpose, and I recently found it last year. So yeah, it took 4.5 years to find my purpose. Not that easy, because quick results is what we are used to. And soulful leadership is what reminds me of him. That's why I shared this funny story, because at that time I thought he was crazy, but now I realize that he was a soulful leader. So what is it, being a soulful leader? It's about being a selfish leader. So the topic is selfish leadership and not really soulful leadership. Why do I say so? It's about being selfish because you got to realize your purpose and follow your path. At the same time, whosoever meets you in your journey of following your path, you need to help them realize their path as well. That is about being a soulful leader, being a servant leader. It's not just about myself. When I look into the mirror and I ask, okay, what kind of a leader have you been, Supriya? It shouldn't be the case like Shakespeare said. We all have our entrances and exits. So we have a stage, we have our entrance, we join as a leader in a particular organization, we take the organization from point A to point B, and what happens at the end? We ask ourselves, okay, we made $1 million, nice, we got a nice bungalow, some yachts, but what? What have you contributed to the lives of the other people who are around you? We look at leaders from the globe, and we talk about people who have a strategic vision, who are great at operations, who are building the trust culture. Great. Trust reminds me of another story from Macbeth. The nobleman Macbeth, he was really, really ambitious, really ambitious. And when these ambitions are not channelized in the right direction with the trust, and they lack morality, they can lead to a situation where Macbeth killed the King Duncan. So a great leader is expected to have a strategic vision, morality, building the trust culture, and of course, compensating the employees for the great job that they're doing, the reward system that we're talking of. But what does it require? It's not just intellect. Intellect has its limitations. You have to work from the heart. Like my colleagues here mentioned, we have to work from the heart plus the intellect. there could be two guiding forces in our life or our leadership skill. It could be your ego, and it could be your soul. So let soul be the guiding force, and let ego be the acting force, and not the other way around. I hope we'll be able to make the world a better place with this. Thank you. Sweet and short. All right. That's a... Like everybody says, you want a better world, you want a better world. But how?
So, can one of you just check the time a little bit? I don't think I'm gonna be too long. Yeah, thank you. So, I will start my speech with a story. And the story actually happened at the Women Economic Forum in Portugal last year in March. It was my first time at the Women Economic Forum, and I ended up there because my really good friend Sasha, who I think you all know, she's the main coordinator of the Women Economic Forum Slovenia, she said, Maya, you need to come to this event. So just come to Portugal, you live there anyway, so it's easy for you to join us. And I said, yeah, okay, I will come and apply for one of the speeches. And I said, no, I've never spoken on stage. I'm afraid actually of speaking on stage. Plus I will have my period, so I'm just not gonna be feeling well. And I was looking at the program and I saw one topic which was something about bringing the new paradigm, something like that. And I thought, well, I could easily speak on that. That's what I do, but I'm not applying. So anyway, I come to the Women Economic Forum and I come to registration and they hand me this thing that says speaker. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I will do it next time, but not now. And I come, I'm listening to the speeches, we go to lunch, and then was the time of this panel on the new paradigm. And my friends were speaking there, so I looked at the list, and my name was on the list. And I'm like, how? Like, I did not apply for this speech. I go ask, like, Sasha, did you arrange this? No. I go to the organizer, I didn't apply for this. What do I do? She's like, I don't know, your name is there, so you want to go up, or we can take you off the list. But we go up in 5 minutes. By the way, it was on the main stage, which was a huge stage like here, was not a parallel session. And I'm standing there, I'm like having cramps, I'm feeling nervous, I don't have a speech, but something is like telling me, no, you have to be there, you have to be there. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go on stage and I'm just gonna do something. And I was luckily last one in the row, and people are speaking, and I'm sitting there and like almost shaking because I've never been on stage, I've never spoken to. The hall was quite full actually, they were filming the lights, and I'm like, okay, you know, talking to God, source, however you want to call them. I say, now give me something. I answered the call to be here, like my name was on the list, I didn't apply, so give me something. And okay, still nothing in my head. It's my turn, I walk on the stage, he gives me the microphone, I'm looking there, I start blushing, and then I just start speaking, and I started speaking about what happened to me, that I didn't know I'm gonna end up on stage, and now I'm here, but I'm here because I felt a soul call, that I need to share my message on how we bring the new paradigm. And it's by answering the call, even when it's uncomfortable, that's how we bring our soul mission through, and that's how we create change that is actually beneficial for the earth and for all of us, and it creates just a better existence for us. And I was looking, and one man was in the audience, he had sunglasses on. And when I started speaking, he took the sunglasses off, and he was like, you know, I realized that what I was doing was magnetic, because everybody was looking at me and listening, like really listening. It was after lunch. And so now I come to the point. The title of this topic, of this panel, is Soulful Leadership and How It Manifests Through Me. So for me, soulful leadership is when you answer the call of your soul, of this what wants to come through you in this life, what is your soul mission as I understand it. And when you answer the call, you are leading yourself. I think a soulful leader leads themselves first, through soul. And when you lead from soul, soulful leadership is magnetic because it comes straight from source, from God, through you, through your heart, to the heart of the listener. There is no barrier. It bypasses the mind, so it lands, the message lands, and it moves people. It moves people, something clicks. They either start thinking or they're moved into action. Something happens. That's soulful leadership for me. It goes straight through and it lands. And another thing with soulful leadership is that it doesn't create followers, but it empowers others to lead as well. So, yeah, I think this is the way to create a better world. Yeah, thank you very much. So, I'm back into my moderator shoes. Yes. So, thank you very much for speaking to all of us. And I really enjoyed